It's interesting that on my live stream that I recently did, the one I did on the 20th, I had brought up Brett Favre and said that there really hasn't been any update to come from him or that side in over a month. And lo and behold, I get on the Twitter, and shout out to Kid Gravity for tagging me in this story that came from Black Sports Online, where Brett Favre has a new target. And it's one that I didn't see coming. And that is Dr. Umar Johnson. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, why in the world is Brett Favre going after Dr. Umar? Like, what did he say or do for him or his team to go after him? Well, apparently, according to BSO, it said that Brett Favre threatens to sue him if he continues to speak about Brett Favre stealing money from poor people, from the poor people of Mississippi. And we're sitting here saying to myself, this is public knowledge. This is not new information. So I'm trying to figure out, are you trying to sue him for defamation of character? What is it? Because this has been known in public knowledge, at least for me, for the last 2 years. For some people, it's been public knowledge for the last few months because it really ramped up more around the August area. But I knew stuff about this since like late 2021, when it was just a blip on the radar. But I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, what could he and his team possibly sue him for that we don't already know? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this last part of the article. Then I'm going to show you the letter that was sent to Dr. Umar from Brett Favre's legal team. The end of the article states, I am unsure how Favre discovered that Dr. Umar had been speaking about him, because a lot of people have been. Still, he had his lawyers send a letter to Dr. Umar telling him not to destroy evidence of him speaking on Favre because they are considering suing him. I am assumed for defamation of character. It would be a hard case to prove considering Favre's character is already in the trash. Now, let me go ahead and show y'all the letter that was sent to him. Now, here's the letter that was sent to Dr. Umar, and that's his logo right there at the bottom, so you can see that is official. He actually posted it up on his Instagram account. So this is the letter right here. It's coming from Castlewitz Benson Torres LLP. Then it has all their information right up here. Dated January 9th, 2023. And this is Dr. Umar Abdullah Johnson. It has a P.O. box and his location and everything. And it says, Dear Dr. Johnson, we have been retained by Brett L. Favre to investigate potential legal claims against you arising from certain public statements you have made about Mr. Favre. If you have legal counsel in connection with this matter, please forward this communication to them. In view of this investigation and potential litigation, we hereby demand that you preserve and not destroy, conceal, alter, or otherwise spoliate any and all documents and information in your possession, custody, or control, regardless of where such documents and information reside, including without limitation, electronic files and other data generated by and or stored on computers, storage media, or other electronic devices, emails, voicemails, text messages, tweets, social media posts that refer or relate in any way to any of your public statements about Mr. Favre since May 4th, 2020. So like right there. So they've been looking at this since 2020. Now, remember what I told you about how I found out some information about Brett Favre way before it blew up? If they're dating this all the way back to May 4th, 2020, that pretty much confirms right there that people knew or were starting to figure out what Brett Favre had going on before it blew up, and then the rest of the nation found out about it. I keep telling people I had read somewhere that Brett Favre was involved in some shady stuff, but it didn't gain traction like that. Failure to comply with this notice or otherwise to preserve such documents and information or other relevant evidence may result in our client seeking sanctions and other relief against you for spoliation of actual or potential evidence should any litigation arise. Nothing contained in or omitted from this letter is a waiver of any of our client's rights and remedies, all of which expressly reserved. Sincerely, Daniel R. Benson. They sound desperate right here. But it makes me wonder also too, what could Dr. Umar posted on social media that made them send this letter? And why now? That's what I'm curious about, because all the stuff that I've been talking about when it came to Brett Favre came directly from news outlets. So whatever I put out there, you could just went right back and looked at it and saw where it came from and said, oh, there it is right there. And we saw all those text messages that he sent. So it makes you wonder, what in the world are they really trying to achieve here? But honestly, if Dr. Umar got all his affairs in orders, this should probably be something he could easily win. Or something where it would get them to drop these so-called investigative whatever that they're trying to do. But notice too, they immediately want to send something to a black man who does, despite how you feel about him, has a lot of a following behind him, to try to stop him from posting stuff or sending stuff out and whatnot. But again, it does make me curious though, what did he post in specific that made them send this? I mean, because unless it was false, this really means nothing. It's just the fact that this is a black man that has a lot of followers who will read this stuff and possibly, go do their own research and see if everything lines up. But this right here is very sus to me. But when you get desperate, that's what happens. I find it very interesting that they want to do an investigation on Umar, but Brett Favre hasn't been criminally charged with anything as of yet when it comes to this situation, even though they have all the evidence. I find that to be very, very interesting. But as Rob at Blacklight Revelations always says, the world is correct.